and welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming, whatever the hell we're going to talk about tonight. So tonight we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to just kind of discuss what makes a game replayable and why some people don't replay. We have two sides of the coin here. I'll keep my opinions a little bit short because I think I'm going to be able to agree with both of these guys, but I'm probably leaning more towards the Nick end of the things. So we're going to talk about what makes a game replayable and why some people just say, no, I don't know. I've been there. I've done that. Why don't you replay it? So for me personally, as an example, the game I have replayed probably more than any game, period, is Final Fantasy VIII. Then probably followed by Resident Evil 2, the original. Now, I think, and personally, certain games you can replay. Certain games just have something about them that just keep the enjoyment, keep the pleasure of doing, even though you've done it before, it's still pleasurable to do it again, especially if you notice that one or two little things here and there that you didn't notice the first time. Right now, I'm replaying Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm just about finished with it, and I've come up with new thoughts and opinions about it. Some I've just been even stronger about, some I've changed a little bit. But that's what we're going to talk about. So we all have a favorite game. My personal favorite game, and I played the most, was Final Fantasy VIII. Pat is Mass Effect. And Nick's, I don't know, Nick plays so much, it's really hard to nail him down with a favorite game. Because he's a Mega Man guy, loves the Mega Man, loves his Resident Evil. He loves, Dora the Explorer. He's into all sorts of games. So let's start with Pat. Pat, you don't replay games. Hardly ever, if ever. And your favorite game is Mass Effect. Why don't you replay your favorite game? What makes it so great, but not great enough to want to experience it again?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, to be honest, every time I look at a game that I've already played, and we were chatting about this before, like Mass Effect is one of my top favorite games of all time. And so is like Horizon Zero Dawn. And I'm like, I bought Legendary Edition of Mass Effect, which came with all the 3 games again. And I installed it and I sat at the loading screen after I started it. And I'm like, why? No, I turned it off. I have not played the Legendary Edition, and even though I bought it, because I was like, oh, I'm going to play this again. But to me, I'm like, I already did this story. What is it in it for me? I don't care if I missed a collectible. Or, in Mass Effect, if you made the wrong choice and somebody died or something, I'm like, I already did this. What am I going to do? Cheese it now that I know what to do to make, get the best outcome in each scenario? To me, that's not fun. And so I'm like, and games that are even built, I'll be honest, games that are even built for you to play multiple times to get different endings. Like I love Nier Automata, that was a great game, and you have to beat it multiple times to get the endings and everything. And I'm just like, nah, I already played, and they're not short games neither, right? Like Nier is not a short game. Mass Effect's not a short game. I'm like, I don't want to run through this whole thing again, spend 40, 50 hours playing through it again to get a perfect or different ending. To me, games like that aren't fun. And to me, that's not fun. I'm like, I already read the story, unless the story somehow changes, which I know there's parts like of Nier Automata that do change if you play through again. But for the most part, 80% of the story is still the same. 80% of the crap is still the same. And I have I'm undiagnosed touch of OCD. So I can't just go through and beeline the main storyline, because then it just, to me, is like, it's an itch in your brain that you just can't scratch. I'm like, I got to get this done. So then it's, a lot of time. So for me, playing through a game after I've already beat it is rough. Even if I haven't played it in 5 to 10 years, it is rough. And the only time I'm apt to play something that I've beaten is with a remake, not even necessarily the remaster. I don't do remasters typically, because Legendary Edition is like a remastering of, the first and second game, I think, and just skip out third game. You know, and I like Horizon Zero. I like Horizon, the games. I beat all of them that have come out, and I'm like, I just can't bring myself to go back and play it again. The only time I actually play a game again is if we play a multiplayer co-op of it, but that's because it's a different experience at that point. But for me to go sit back down and play like Zelda again, like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild again, I just won't do it. I just cannot bring myself to do it. It's like I've already participated in this story. I know what's going to happen. So I don't know how else to explain it except for replayability in games is not something I look for in a game. When somebody says, "Oh, there's a new game plus," I don't give a shit. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't know how to explain it. To me, it just feels boring. Even though I love the game, it feels boring because I know what's going to happen. I know what's coming next. I know exactly. You know, my memory is not that short term. I can't remember what happened, right? And that's why I think I like the remakes of the Final Fantasy VII stuff, whereas Shane struggled a little bit with it because he just called it, you know, basically it was just filler. I never experienced it. I actually never participated in it until the remake. So I have a new experience, and to me they were fun, except for the dolphin riding crap. You know? But that wasn't a remake of those. That was just a Final Fantasy. What was it, 16 or whatever? You know, the dolphin riding.
That was 7 remaster. That was 7 Rebirth.
Yeah, Rebirth. So that game to me didn't hold my attention. But just for replayability, yeah, I'm not going to go back and play the first remake of Final Fantasy VII. I'll never do it. It's just not some. Maybe when I get old and if I get a touch of like, you know, Alzheimer's or something, it might be. I'll be like, oh, I have not played this. Let's check it out. You know, yeah. I don't know. To me, and I guess when I was younger, maybe because I played a lot of I played a lot of WoW, and that's rehashed over and over and over. But I can't get into MMOs anymore. Neither. Like Nick plays Final Fantasy 14, and I've gotten back into it multiple times, but I just get bored like super quick because it just feels like the same grind every day over and over, and it's just not for me. So I struggle with replayability in games, and it's not something I ever pay any attention to when I'm looking at whether I'm going to spend how much on a game, a $70 game or $60. Gotcha. You know, it's not something I look at. So for me, and I don't know, I'm probably in the minority of gamers because, you know, I just can't do it. Even though games are so expensive and I can't afford to buy new games all the time, I am not replaying any of my old stuff.
Yeah. And it's just some people, they just want to move on. But now, Nick, you are playing through Resident Evil 1. Or played through Resident Evil 1, played through Resident Evil 2, the OGs, and you're working through 3 right now. So obviously Nick can replay many of the same games over and over. Right now, are you re-experiencing anything? Or does it just feel like nostalgia? Why are you replaying? What makes them worth replaying?
Well, I mean, Resident Evil 1, the original Resident Evils are just really good games. I feel like the replayability on those games is for me, it's really good. Like I've replayed Resident Evil 1 specific because that's like one of my all-time favorite ones of the Resident Evil franchise, the original one. I've replayed that game so many times. I've lost count of how many times I've replayed it, but it's I mean, the Resident Evils for me is just a game I could replay several times, and that's not even like the classics, right? I mean, how many times have we played 5 co-op? Like, probably at least 10 times.
6 recently.
Yeah, we redid 6, and I've played 7 a few times. I think I've only played 8 once to completion. You know, I beat 9, and I haven't replayed 9 yet, but I will at some point. I mean, for me, it's like I can't do. Some people can do this, and I'm one that can't do this. Like I have a really hard time with this. Is beating a game and then immediately replaying it again. Mm-hmm. Like that, I can't do. Unless there's like something completely different, right? Like, you know, unless there's a reason to play through it a second time for whatever reason. But even that's still hard for me to do. Like if I've gone through and beaten a game completely, and there is a new game plus, kind of like what Pat was saying, or whatever, it's really hard for me to get in and start playing that New Game Plus or immediately after, right? Now, a few months or a year or so goes by, then I can pop that game back on and play it through complete again, right? Even on New Game Plus or whatever. But immediately after I finished a game, it's really hard for me to get back into playing again.
Did you replay the Silent Hill F? Because I think you're supposed to like just do that in that one, right?
You're supposed to get the full like story. I replayed it. I did, like, I got halfway through, I think, the second playthrough, and again, it was one of those things where I wanted to experience like the complete story, because I think the story was really good in that game. But and there were holes that, you know, multiple playthroughs filled those holes. But again, it was one of those things where I have a really hard time. I've already been through this content. Not to say I might not play Silent Hill F later on down the line, right? Again, but playing it right after I just played it, and in Silent Hill F's not a short game, and it got difficult too. I got like halfway through, and then I just kind of lost interest because I'm like, I've already done this. I mean, you do go to some new places and stuff, so you do see some new things and some new content and stuff, but it's just really hard to go through it a second time, even though it's a fun game and I enjoyed it. But you know, so for me, it's like that. Like Resident Evil is really good. I mean, Mega Man, I've played all the Mega Mans several times. Not to say that I've played them all to completion every single time I play them, but I will reinstall a Mega Man or the Anniversary Collection that has, like, you know, a whole bunch of them on there, and I'll replay those for about a few months and then jump off or whatever. Final Fantasy, I've replayed a ton of Final Fantasy games. I think for Final Fantasy, sometimes it is story, sometimes it's just gameplay. You know, one of my all-time favorite Final Fantasies is 6, and I think it's because of the story. I think the story is like so good in that game, and I wish they would remake that one personally.
Yeah, after 8, they can make that.
Now, before 8, no, what they'll end up doing is they'll remake 9, and then, you know, because I think it's already 9's like, I've heard rumors that that's already in development.
That one's been around for a while, so that's probably accurate.
Yeah, and then after that, they'll skip 9 and they'll skip 8 and they'll skip 6 and they'll go to something else.
They're going to remake 10. I'll almost guarantee they'll do a remake.
I think so. Yeah,
10.
they could.
So
it'd be kind of cool if they redid. I mean, which was, I think, not the most unpopular one, but definitely not the most popular one. But it'd be cool to see them remake 12. That'd be cool, with the whole gambit system and the whole job system that they introduced in the Zodiac Age version of the game.
Yeah, I think that one had the storyline on that one, to me, out of all of the Final Fantasies, has probably been the weaker on that, but I think the gameplay was phenomenal on it.
Yeah, the story had its moments, but the judges were really cool. The judges in that game, I thought that was like one of the coolest aspects of 12 was the judges, and I wish they did more with them, because they do stuff with them, but not enough. Like the judges in that game were the coolest, like, thought idea of like an enemy type in that game and stuff, and it was like, that's cool. But they didn't do as much with it as I was hoping.
But the replayability of a game for me is kind of a, you know, a mood thing. When I play Final Fantasy VIII, I always get that feeling of my first time playing it, because I don't go like play it and then like 2 weeks later I'll play it again. I mean, we're, you know, 4 months, 6 months, 8 months later, I'll replay it, just because as soon as I hit start and I go to the fire cave, I'm enthralled into the game again. To me, I love the storyline. A lot of people, you know, they had problems with it because it was a mix of science and fantasy. And I like that about it. I like the questions that I still get, because there's still questions I have no response to. Like, is Renoa actually Princess Sorceress Edea? I don't know. And I play through it, and, you know, it's like, well, maybe she is, maybe she ain't. You know, I go through that, and I still get that nostalgia. And then when I play through, I'm playing through Resident Evil 2 remake right now because that was such a well done remake, so different and unique of the original 2 that it's 2 different games. It really is. And I like Resident Evil, I like the zombies, I like the puzzles, and they're just fun to re-experience. But Mass Effect, for me, Pat, is one of those games that I would and I need to jump back into and replay, because the original one, when it came out, I couldn't quite get into it. And then 2 came out, and I read about it and saw the reviews and all that. It's like, you know what? I'm going to give 1 another chance. And this is, a few years later, and I played it and I loved it. And, I just finally got what the game was about, enjoyed it, and played 2 and 3. And then I replayed 2. And, I think that's one of those games I can re-experience, because that's the kind of game that you don't get the full game on your first playthrough or even your second, because you get the choices. All right, well, I played through again, and instead of making left, or I'm going to go right instead of left. I like the ideals of that, but I also, like Nick, I don't just restart. It's like Resident Evil 9. I love that game. Fell in love with that game, and I still haven't replayed it. I've replayed Resident Evil 8 twice. So, but I gave that one a lot of time. I think what makes a game replayable is just the personal experience you get from it. Because you don't really know what you're going to get until you hit start. In fact, you might hit start on Mass Effect and be going, you know what? I don't remember this part. Or, you know what? Last time I chose the blue chick's booty. This time I'm going green booty. You just don't know what you get until it pops up on you. And then, it's a whole new experience.
Booties?
Booties, still a new experience. Green or blue. Heck, put them together, make yellow.
I mean, yeah, I've replayed Mass Effect, it's probably been a couple of years now, but I replayed the first one again.
See, and that game's even got another draw to playing it, because every choice carries through from the first to the second to the third. And you're like, okay, cool. If I save this person or do this wrong, and then they show up in the next one, or they don't show up in the next one because they're dead, and then there's this backstory but to me, I'm like, okay, so what? Right? Like, did I cure the genophage or not? Who cares, right?
See, I don't know if you would truly experience it that way, though, since you haven't done it. I'm not saying you would. I'm just saying I don't think you truly know until you at least do it. It's like I told my first girlfriend, you don't know unless you try.
It's true.
When
I go to replay a game, typically I try to approach it as though, kind of like what Pat was, or what Shane was saying. I typically approach it as though I've never played it before. Even though I know I have. So I'll go into it almost like I don't know what I'm doing. Like, oh yeah, I go off this way, and and what are the buttons again? That type of thing. Kind of.
Well, the buttons make sense. Yeah, I forgot to push the buttons all the time. But I mean, the story to me is, I play games for a lot more story and gameplay. And yes, the gameplay will be refreshing, but outside of that, I'm like,
I mean, the story depends on, as far as, usually when I replay a game, it's typically, I would say most of the time it's not about the story, because I've already experienced the story. And if the story doesn't change, then I'm replaying it for the gameplay and not necessarily the story, because I already know what the story is. Like Resident Evil, the old ones and stuff, I already know what the story is. I've played them enough times. So I'm replaying it because of the gameplay. I enjoy the gameplay, the puzzles, the survival aspect, can I make it through with my ammo and health and stuff like that. And that's really why I replay those. Final Fantasy VI, I just really like the story of that game. And even though I know what's happening, and the gameplay, so I think it's a complete package with that one. I played 7 Remake. I played through it twice completely. I haven't done Rebirth again, but I probably plan on doing that again at some point. But it just depends on the game. Not every game will I replay, though. Some games I am one and done. I don't have any any
want or need
urge to go back and play them again.
Yeah, and those to me types of games are those straightforward linear A to B games, like a Call of Duty
like
story
Stray
game.
or something. Like Stray was a really cool game.
Stray was a great game.
You know, I played through it, I beat it, I enjoyed that game, but I'll never play it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know, I would never find myself installing it and playing through it again.
Yeah, and it's because it's an A to B game. It's a great story and it's fun to play.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's an A to B. There's no different results that are really going to come from anything you do with it. A good RPG or Mass Effect or something along those lines, those you can get different experiences. But then there's games like you said, Resident Evil 1, the original. It's the story ain't going to change. I mean, you have two characters to play through. You play through both of them. You get that story, but that's the kind of game you play for the gameplay itself.
And Resident Evil 1, the original one, is not very long. So
no, I think you probably complete it 3 hours if you know,
or
everything.
less than that if you really go fast. Yeah. And you could probably beat the game in like an hour and a half if you really wanted to go through quickly get through it.
See, and that's that's
as long as you remember what the puzzles are, right? The only your only like hindrance would be just getting lost or not remembering where you need to go, right?
Yeah, but and that's my problem with Resident Evil 2 remake is I can't remember where certain things are. It's like, oh crap, no, I need the knife. Shit, gotta go down here.
Yeah, because I think Resident Evil 1, the original. And I just beat it, I started replaying it, but I think it was like 3 hours that it took me to beat it. But I mean, and that was because I think at one point I got lost because I couldn't remember where I got lost for it felt like an hour almost. It probably wasn't as long as that, but it felt like it because I couldn't remember. I can't remember the spot where it was, but there was one small spot where I had to go do. Oh, it was where I was trying to get the V-Jolt to take out the plant. And I didn't have I couldn't get into the room 3 because that's where the paper is for the V-Jolt in order for you to actually make the V-Jolt. Because you have to grab the document that tells you how to make it before you can actually go into the room. Because I could get into the room where you make it, but it wouldn't let me put it together because I didn't find the document that tells you how to put it together. So I had to find that, but I couldn't find the key to 3 because I forgot in the billiards room, you have to do the puzzle with the pool table that shows the time on there. And in order to get, and so anyway, I sat there forever, going back and forth, what the fuck am I missing? And I probably would have beat it in 2 hours or something like that, or less. But
a good game like that will traverse time. I mean, you sent us the image of the mod for the background renderings that looked really nice. So I would like to check that one out again. But
I mean, it does, the mod does more than that, but it's.
Gotcha. But I like replaying certain games. Certain games just, they hit me, they stick with me. It's like movies. There's certain movies that you just have to rewatch. Pat, you can't scroll through and not see Dragon Ball or Ninja Turtles or, God, what's that one that we always talk about that? Nope, got to play.
Like Kung Fu Hustle or something.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite, it's Fifth Element. I watch it all the time.
Fifth Element,
My girlfriend hates it.
Yeah. And see, I'm the same way. My wife absolutely hates, you watching this damn thing again? Yes.
If any of the Fat Chow movies are on, like Shaolin Soccer, Kung Fu Hustle, I watch them, and she doesn't like that.
Yep. And it's, there's just certain things that you enjoy that stick with you. And, I get the same experience watching Goonies the first time, the 5th time, the 700th time. It's just certain things stick with you. And I think a lot of it for me is my youth, when Resident Evil 1 came out, for example, boom, I was young. It was like my first experience. To me, that was my first horror game. That was my first time experiencing when the crows or the dog jumped through the window and physically almost defecating in my pants. And I'm going to say almost. That's as far as we're going. But it did. It scared the crap out of me. Nowadays, you don't think about it because it looks so graphically different than what you could get now. But back then, that pixelated pup jumped through that window. It scared the shit out of you. You'd be wearing your brown pants.
Yeah, and some of that comes from core memories, right? Kind of like you're saying, like Final Fantasy VI. I talk about that one a lot because I got that for Christmas when I was a kid, and that was the game I wanted, and I remember opening it, and that's a core memory because I remember opening it on Christmas and then playing it, right? So for me, that game was a lot of, it was Final Fantasy 3 here in the U.S., but it's actually 6, but it has a lot of memories for me, right? So it's one of those things.
I think, Pat, if you jump back into Mass Effect, I don't think you would experience as bad as you think, but you might. I mean, you really
also,
might.
I'm a graphics snob, so even the Legendary Edition looks kind of bad.
Well, I bet you can find a mod that makes it look better.
Maybe.
I
don't know how many times I've installed something that I'm like, oh, I want to replay this, and then I load it up and I sit there for 15 minutes and I'm like, I'm bored already.
Yeah, and I am the same way with at times. I'll be ready to replay something and I'm going to go do this instead. So
like I mean, a perfect example of this is also like I beat the last Andromeda. Mass Effect Andromeda, and it was buggy as shit, and they made so many improvements to it, but I'm like, I cannot bring myself to go back and play through the nice, clean, fixed up version, and I'm just like, I've loaded it too. I think I have it installed right now because I downloaded it off Steam, and I'm like, I'm going to play this. I got bored one weekend, and I literally sat there after it was installed and go, well, maybe a mod will make this better. And I looked through Nexus mods, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, and then I just don't play it. Like, I mean, I'll play something like a strategy game, but to me, that's not a story. That's, I'll think of like, StarCraft or something like that, just multiplayer or something like that. But I'm not apt to play like a story game where you got to go through and do all this other stuff, Yeah. But I don't know.
Yeah, and it is, and you're right though. A strategy game. Most strategy games really aren't designed for story. They're designed for that gameplay and that. And those the victories that you get when you're playing it. You make the right moves, you make the right choices, and you get the big V. I love that kind of stuff. So those are kind of games I can replay as well. But no, I just wanted to pick your brain, see why you do and do not like to replay games. So you guys got anything else before I start asking viewers to tell us what they think? Dan to Dan? Nope. All right. So let us know what you think. Do you like to replay games? What games do you replay? Why do you replay them? We obviously know Pat won't, but he will watch some Fat Chow. And I can't blame him. I love those movies. And Nick will play Resident Evil till the end of time, which I can't blame him there either. So, but let us know in the comments below. We want to do something a little different today, so tell us what you think. Anyways, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, notifications, all those good buttons to keep you up to date. See you later. See ya.